Hello and welcome to Information Matters with AI, the podcast with Jacqueline Stockwell. Today I am super excited to be with Sharon and Gemma, and we're going to be talking about everybody wants AI, nobody wants records management. Now, I think this is a really interesting conversation that we're having multiple times over and over again, but it's amazing to have such two fantastic people join me today to talk about this conversation so openly and also so robustly.
I'm Sharon Locke. I am an information governance manager and a data protection officer for many years now. Not necessarily interesting, but a weird fact about me is I have an aversion to the colour lilac. I cannot go anywhere near it. Yeah, really good fun when someone wears lilac in the office or anything like that, because I just can't look at it.
That's fascinating. I have to explore that a little bit more. What happens when someone comes near you that's wearing lilac?
I was new in an organisation, and a lady who really talked with her hands all the time like that and was wearing lilac nail varnish. And I'd obviously never met her. This was our first meeting. And I was, yeah. And inside thinking, just sit on your hands. Please sit on your hands while you're talking to me. I couldn't wait for it to be over. I was really uncomfortable. In another role, someone that I always had a hi, how are you chat with, came over one morning and they had a fleece on with the zip, but the zip was undone and he had a lilac shirt on. So he said good morning to me and I just said morning and just carried on. And he asked me if I was all right. So I explained. Then he did the zip up and I was able to look at him and talk to him. And he said that he thought he'd done something wrong to offend me because I was quite, yeah, I'm all right, and not looking at him like that.
The actual outside of these boxes are lilac, and that's all I'm going to think about right now.
Hello, I'm Gemma and I work alongside Sharon as an information governance officer. I'm relatively new to the role. I started with Sharon 6 months ago. Prior to that, I had very little knowledge and understanding of the whole IG world, still very much at a training stage.
Loving it though.
Yes, very much embracing it. Every day's a school day. But yeah, really loving the role.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Now say something weird about yourself.
Oh, something weird. I'm a very fussy eater. Very plain. Yeah, cheese sandwiches all the way for me.
I love to open up podcasts just like that because it just gives you a true reflection of how everybody's so different and how our minds are processed so differently. And I live with a very fussy eater, but it's more around separation of things. So I'm there with you. Talking about your journey into information governance here, why did you get into information governance?
So I'm going to be honest, I fell into it years ago in the civil service at this organisation. And the job I had I found it mind-numbingly boring. A job came up for an information management officer working in the information rights and services department. And it sounded really interesting. It was initially doing just records management, intellectual property and licensing our copyright, Crown copyright, and also doing third-party copyright licensing. And I really enjoyed it. So I was taught by my boss at the time, taught me everything she knew. She did the data protection, but then she retired in 2011. And prior to that, she taught me everything about data protection and I took over the data protection role. I was then called information assurance, but it was all the same role as I do now, just had different titles. And I absolutely love what I do.
We all love what we do. It's not work, It's love.
Yeah,
Gemma.
I don't take it for granted.
So my journey into information governance actually started when Sharon took a temporary role as a position in the team that I worked in my previous role. She saw something in me, to be honest, that I never saw in myself. I'm probably lack confidence. After Sharon left, we kept in touch, great friends. Then Sharon got into the current position that she's in now, and they were actually recruiting, and Sharon reached out to me and said, I think you'd be perfect. Apply, see what you think. Obviously, if you've got some sort of interest in information governance. So I applied, and 6 months I've been working alongside Sharon.
I love that, because you work together, you've got that relationship. But what I'm hearing you saying is that Sharon's seen that you've got the will but not the skill, so she's going to take you on and give you the skill. And I think that's so incredibly important, because I've found in my experience that you can't teach somebody to have the will to do something. You can give them all the skills, all the training, but they've got to have that will and that excitement. And I think that's an amazing story. This is more a question to Sharon. What keeps you so passionate? You said you love your job. What keeps you so passionate about the profession for all these years that you've worked in it?
So I think ultimately, because data protection, information governance, information management is about doing the right thing. And the people that really know me will tell you that I have to do the right thing in my personal life. Sometimes I don't see it as a quality because it's a pain, but I have to. And I see what we do in this role, in this field, as the same thing. You're doing the right thing. It's for the right reasons. But what's kept me interested is that every day's different. So I can spend one day with half a dozen different hats on, and another day just with a focus on one topic for the whole day. And although the emphasis is on compliance with information governance and data protection, there's always more to consider when you're deciding on the best advice to give. And you can have this discussion could go on all day, because the subjects just keep branching off.
Mm.
And I learn something new every day, and it just intrigues me. Love it.
Or it depends, as they say in data protection, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Gemma, I know you've only been in for a short period, but what keeps you excited and enthusiastic about your job?
I think it's because without us, the value and the offer that we bring to the organisation we work in, without us, actually, the business is, we're crucial to the business, basically. It's down to us to make sure everybody's compliant and working to the laws and legislations of GDPR, and making sure the information is secure and only certain areas have access to the areas that they should have.
Yeah, they just don't see it, do they?
Yeah, that's right.
Information management is really important, but I often feel, and what I hear from information leaders globally, is that it's misunderstood. Why do you think that is the case?
I think one of the main reasons is a lack of awareness, because information governance and information management, it's something that underpins everything else that people do in an organization. Because it's that underpinning function, and it operates in the background, so it doesn't get enough visibility. And people will think it's a job for us to do, not any responsibility for them. And they'll see it as, document filing, or I've named it properly, that's it, which is actually document control. Either that, or they think it's an IG responsibility, or that isn't that for IT to do. Whereas information management actually encompasses the whole life cycle of that information. And I think that's the misunderstanding. I think the reason for that misunderstanding is because it's that background job that we're doing.
And it's so frustrating, because information is gold, it's the new oil. And I think sometimes it can be disappointing and disheartening for us as information leaders to do such a good job but not get that visibility. But is it around the organisation understanding the requirements, or is it around the people aspect, that we're not doing enough, we're not showing up, we're not presenting, we're not saying we're here to get the organisation engaged with what we're doing?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest. I do think that Gemma and I we're doing a lot to promote information governance as a business function, and promote the benefits of it. and how it will help people, I'll talk to anyone about it. Anyone that's willing to listen. If I've got a captive audience on a Teams meeting, I'll shamelessly plug it. It doesn't matter to me. But I think a lot of it is to do with we need the support from an SLT level. It needs to be driven from the top down, and it's that the misunderstanding, I think, lies there at the top more than with the rest of your peers.
Yeah, so senior leadership team, SLT. What do you think the biggest challenge is then that organisations are facing right now?
There's more and more information being handled within organisations that needs to be structured and isn't necessarily structured. And sometimes the information, the flow of the information will grow quicker than the resources that the organisation's got to take care of it and manage it. We're seeing more complexities now with the demand for AI is increasing, and organisations will still have unstructured data, or even if it's not unstructured, their AI readiness isn't quite there.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I agree with Sharon. I would say AI, from previous experience in my last role, probably the last few months that I was there, AI was quite a big discussion, and obviously it's evolving as we speak. I would say the people just don't have the awareness of how critical we are in our role with AI. I think people go about their day-to-day roles. They see it as that it's our responsibility, when actually it's everybody's responsibility. We can be there to guide them and give awareness and training to the staff that we work with. But actually, at the end of the day, everybody has that responsibility.
Yeah, and I think it's about us as information leaders to get them to understand that. So what benefits them, what keeps them up at night. And that is fundamentally something that I think we need to do better within our industry, is to build relationship with senior leaders, build relationship with stakeholders, get to know end users. You know, when you're talking about information asset owners, why would they care? But actually, it's about you making that link to the benefits of them finding things quicker, you know, shortening their days, talking in simple language. So there's some real fundamental things that will remain the same, and that's people. We're using AI, it's that fundamental relationship. And I think that's why organizations struggle to understand those types of things. But Sharon, right at the start, you talked about multiple hats. Why do organizations struggle to understand what information they actually have?
I think there's various reasons. So it may be that there's a lack of management of their information, or they may have either too few policies or the incorrect policies to deal with it. If you haven't got those policies in place and processes for stuff to follow, then they're not going to. And if you have, it's whether or not the employees are held accountable for not fulfilling their responsibility to the policy. Another thing that I've seen ever since I've been in this field, is people, or not necessarily individuals, but teams and departments, they'll work over here in silo and do their own thing. And that just creates the fragmented structures, and they'll be inconsistent with the rest of the business. You also get the human nature, always factor human nature into everything we do, because like you said at the beginning, everyone's different. So human nature says that people will tend to err on the side of caution as well. And they might use, I hear this a lot, or I can't share it, it's got to be locked down to just me because of GDPR. When honestly, sometimes that's just used as an excuse. And others, it may be that they want to keep that knowledge to themselves. But as a result of that, information and knowledge is not being shared when to do so would benefit the business.
Yeah, great. And you talked about big data. I mean, everything, and, you know, hats and visual thinking, everything's here. And like this, you know, mass, and organizations are just putting more and more in it, which is also have a global impact. But that is an entirely different conversation that I've had a previous podcast on before. But that's fundamentally why they're struggling, because it's so astronomical amounts that they're storing. So they should sort their life cycles out. What are the risks of not knowing what information exists, where it lives, who owns it?
Giving more grey hairs picturing that. So initially you've got non-compliance to the relevant information related legislation, regulations, standards. It will also, I think, to not have it will, to not know what you've got then, that's going to hinder your response either to requests for information or in your sharing, knowledge sharing within the business. It's going to hinder that. You can't protect information that you don't know about. So you've got security vulnerabilities there, whether that's cyber or oversharing, if it's personal data. Is it on, if you don't know whether it's on an app, on a cloud, again, you've got all of those vulnerabilities. One of the things is efficiency. So for each individual in their job, if you're spending 30 minutes just looking for something that you know is there because you did it, or that your colleague has told you it's in such and such, then you've wasted half an hour of your day when you could be getting on with things and doing other things. Also, if, depending on the business, you could have information or intellectual property that you could be exploiting and you're not exploiting it. And that's not just for financial gain, is it? That would build reputation, everything else. But if you don't know it's there, or you do, but you don't know where it is, that there's a risk there as well. And cost. How much are you storing that you don't know about? How much are you paying for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Find it out, have the conversations, return of investment as well. It links into life cycle. But then the way you're talking, it just, we talk about information management being fundamental to every business. And the way you've just described it, there's so many things that link into it. And it is just fundamentally so important that we need to get people talking about it. So we've talked about risks, we've talked about challenges, but actually, what does good information management actually look like to you and Gemma in practice?
I said this to you in a meeting the other day, Jackie, that it's having the right information in the right place at the right time, having your data that's secure, that you have quick access to when you require it. And also with that, you'll have the assurance that the information that you're handling is up to date and it's accurate.
Yeah, I completely agree, Sharon. Like for things to run smoothly, information needs to have an identified owner to be correct, correctly identified, needs to be stored correctly, saved and accessible to relevant parties.
Sharon and Gemma, I think it's been such a great conversation today. If listeners want to know any more, how can they reach out to you?
I'm on LinkedIn.
Amazing. Love it. Everyone always says LinkedIn because it is the social networking place for information managers and data protection officers. Thank you so much. It's been absolutely amazing to have you on the show today. Join me next week when Sharon and Gemma are going to come back and we're going to be talking more about the AI conversation that everybody wants to have. Until next time, be bold, be brave, and be beautiful.